learnt about human respiratory system, and we understood which are the organs which will help in respiration. And also we learned how epiglottis will prevent the entry of the food into our windpipe. Now let us see how do we breathe. What are the changes that takes place when we breathe, because of which how the air will get inside and how we expel the air, that is carbon dioxide. So I told you breathing involves two movements, that is inhalation and exhalation. What is inhalation? It is taking in oxygen rich air. Exhalation is giving out carbon dioxide rich air. So how it takes place? So what are the changes that has to be brought inside our respiratory system so that this process takes place smoothly? So let us see. So how do we breathe? So during inhalation what changes takes place, and during exhalation what changes takes place? Let us see. So we know very well the lungs. Our lungs, the most delicate organ, it is protected by ribs. The function of the rib is not only to protect the lungs but also help in respiration. Okay, so they also have to undergo change, because when we inhale, the lungs will expand. When the lungs will expand, even the ribs should also expand. And we know very well, ribs are made up of bones. Do you think the ribs will move? No, ribs will not move as it is. So if at all we see the rib cage will be connected like this. So we have in front we have a bone called sternum. Okay, and this ribs will be connected like this to each other. Between the ribs there is a muscle, presence of muscles are there, that you should remember, because ribs are made up of bones. Bones do not move, right? Movement, wherever movement we see, it should be made up of muscles, right? So between the ribs there is muscle, presence of muscle, and this muscle is called intercostal muscle. It is called intercostal muscle. Okay, now that you have understood now. So let us see what happens during inhalation. When we inhale, the ribs move up. It will move up and outwards. Moves up and outwards. Okay, right? That means the rib has to swell. The ribs will move up and it will move outwards. It has to move like this, so that the lungs will expand. So we just do it at home and see when you inhale what will happen, what are the changes takes place. You can touch and you can feel that. Ribs move up and outwards. Diaphragm. You learned what is diaphragm. Diaphragm is the muscular sheath, the muscular membrane which separates our chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. Not only that, it will also help in respiration. I told you in the previous video. So this is our lungs. Okay, so you know this is our lungs. Okay, and here we have that muscular membrane, that is diaphragm. This is it's a dome shape. Diaphragm is dome shape. Okay, dome shaped structure. Okay, that is our diaphragm. So it is always present like this. When you are inhaling, it will come down. It will move down. Okay, diaphragm moves down. So because of what? See, now you have this ribs here. Okay, the ribs are here. So the ribs will move up, outward, and diaphragm comes down. So space will increase. In the chest cavity, the space will increase. This increases space in the chest cavity, and air will rush inside the lungs. It will rush into the lungs. So what happens during exhalation? It is opposite of that, right? During exhalation, what happens? The lungs have to push out the air. So what will happen? The ribs move down and it will move inwards. The ribs move down, okay, and inwards. In exhalation, the ribs moves up and outward. In case of exhalation, ribs moves down and it comes inward. And diaphragm which had gone down. The diaphragm had gone down, right, during exhalation and inhalation. During exhalation, it will come to its shape. So diaphragm moves up to its former position. So what will happen? The ribs come inward, okay, and diaphragm will be pushed up. The space will become less, and the chest cavity, the space will be reduced, and air is pushed out of the lungs. So this is how the breathing takes place. This is how air is taken inside, and that is oxygen is taken inside, and carbon dioxide is given out. Okay. So now let us see how other organisms respire. How do other organisms respire? Now we know which is our respiratory organ. Respiratory organ is our lungs. So there is no doubt in that. So how do the other organisms? Let us talk about insects. How do insects respire? Already I told you insects will respire through breathing tubes. We say breathing tubes, or it is also called spiracles or spiracles. If at all you come across with the grasshopper, if you can hold a grasshopper, just lift its wings, you can see the breathing tubes, okay. So that's about insects. What about earthworm? How do you think earthworm will respire? We know it will respire with the help of moist skin. It will respire with the help of moist skin. Now what about frogs? How do frogs respire? Frogs will respire with the help of moist skin, and you know very well frogs live on land as well as in water, right? So in water it will respire with the help of gills, okay, right? There are some frogs which will respire with the help of their buccal cavity through their mouth, and they also have lungs, okay. So they will respire with these structures. Coming to fish, you know very well, fish is aquatic. Fish, it is an aquatic organism. It's an aquatic organism. So how does it respire? It will respire with the help of gills. Okay. Most of us would have seen gills, right? So if at all you have seen a fish, okay, like this is fish. Right? If this is fish, you would have seen, if at all like you open that operculum, that chamber, if at all like some fish you can open that covering, that is called operculum, okay, so that you can see this structure. This is actually gills. And you know very well, aquatic organism, they absorb dissolved oxygen directly from the water. They absorb the dissolved oxygen, and gills will be surrounded with blood vessels, capillaries, and from the gills only the blood will absorb the oxygen. Okay, so that's about the fishes. What about birds? How do they respire? They respire with the help of lungs. Okay, and what about the snakes? They also respire with the help of lungs only. Okay, reptiles. Next. So how do we respire with the help of lungs? So through the nostril or the nose, the air will enter our lungs, okay, and you know very well the windpipe will break into several branches called the windpipe will break into two branches called bronchus, and each bronchus will enter inside the lungs, and the bronchus will break into several branches. These branches are called bronchioles, and each will end with a tiny, small structure. These are the structural unit. This structural unit is called alveoli. okay, where we see the exchange of gases. If at all you take one alveoli, it looks something like this. Okay, it is all made up of only one cell. It is made up of only one cell, and surrounding this alveoli we find the blood vessel, that is capillaries. Okay, so the capillary will bring the blood. Okay, do you know which will absorb oxygen from the blood? In the blood we have a cell called RBC. We have a cell called RBC inside our blood. It is this RBC cell which absorbs oxygen. So with the blood capillaries, the blood will have RBC cell. When it comes here, the oxygen from the alveoli will move into the capillaries. In the capillaries we have cell called RBC. These cells will absorb oxygen, and from our body the RBC will have taken carbon dioxide that will diffuse inside the lungs, and it will be carried and it will be given off. This is how we exchange the gases. Now, do plants respire? Do plants respire? Yes, plants also respire. I told you in the previous video, whenever plants respire, like animals, they take oxygen. They need oxygen to break down the starch, okay, the carbohydrate, to obtain energy. So how do plants respire? How do plants respire? Already you know. Plants respire with the help of the tiny holes called stomata. Stomata, where it is present? It is present in the leaves. We know very well, right? So stomata are the tiny pores which are present in the leaf, which will help in exchange of gases. Which will help in exchange of gases. Okay. So, through stomata, the plants will take oxygen and give out carbon dioxide during respiration. What about stem? What about root? How do they respire? The stem and roots, they have a different type of cells called lenticels. They have a different type of cells called lenticels. The lenticels will help in respiration. It will help in respiration. Okay, right? Now, stem you understood. So the stem is present above the ground. So it will have this. Some plants, you know, you can make or they have these lines on that. So this is actually lenticels. The lenticels will help in exchange of gases. What about the root which is present below the ground? Below the ground, how do they respire? This is the reason why the plants, like the soil should be loose. Because you know, like when we learn, when we do this crop production, when we want to sow the seeds and what we do, we till the land, we loosen up the soil. Why do we loosen up the soil? Because the air should get inside the soil. The air should get inside. The aeration capacity of the soil should be improved. Okay, only then the air will enter inside the soil. So from the soil, the root will have, if this is the root, okay, the root will have many secondary root, tertiary root, like this will have, and each will have a root hair. The root will have root hairs. They have root hairs, and the root hairs will help in absorbing air as well as water. Okay, so the root hairs, again, they will also have this lenticels. The lenticels will help in absorbing the air or the oxygen. Okay, that's how plants will respire. With this, I have completed the lesson. Next, we'll start with transportation. When I was talking about RBC, everything, or RBC cells, everything, we'll be learning in the next lesson, that is transportation in plants and animals. Thank you.